So I know I'm a little late to the party on this one, but finally I want to take some time to talk about Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, specifically my time with the closed network test, aka the bit of a closed demo, as well as my hopes for the future, because I really love kart racers, I love the Sonic racing games, I just want to rant and rave about it for a little bit. Alright, I'm in a Sonic talking mood and I can go crazy about this, I can go on for a while. Just to quickly set the stage here, I'm pretty sure my opinions on the previous 3 Sonic racing games align with basically everyone else, at least from what I can tell. The original All-Stars Racing was a really fun time, they had really good mechanics, I liked the fan service there with all the other Sega characters, it was a really solid racing game with good single player content and a big old mission mode, really enjoyed that. But then Transformed came out a few years later and like, oh my god, in the 10 years plus since, that is by far one of the greatest kart racers of all time. Not just the transformation stuff with the vehicles is cool, but like having the tracks themselves transform over the span of 3 laps, like god, I love that so much. The fan service was dialed up a whole bunch of notches, and if you're so inclined, Wreck-It Ralph is there too. I was then subsequently disappointed with Team Sonic Racing like everyone else was, and I thought, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff there, and I do kinda like the 3-person mechanic going on there with the team up stuff. I did get to experience that in like a preview event, so I got to see the game at its peak, but when the game actually came out and officially released, it was never gonna touch that peak, and then everything else like outside of that, it was just very clear that sticking it to just Sonic and not having anything really like over the top, it was just a bunch of downgrades overall. Except for the soundtrack. The soundtrack in the game is fantastic. So if the next logical step is not to just immediately go back to the whole we're gonna have fan service for every Sega franchise under the sun idea and having another All-Star Racing, double down on Sonic and make it more of a multiverse idea, okay, you're onto something there, and this demo does kind of have a little bit of that, and I am just hoping that, you know, if they don't go as all out as I really want them to, this could also be not as good as Transformed, and realistically that's just the bar I really wish they would go for. If you didn't get to play the demo and you haven't been consuming media on the game and you're not really sure what the whole CrossWorlds idea is, I do want to talk about that first because like that's the most unique thing this kart racer has going for it. Like, credit to this game right out of the gate, it has a very unique mechanic that, unlike the 3-person team-up stuff from Team Sonic Racing, this is a whole lot more exciting. The basic sales pitch is every course's lap 2 is going to be unique, and you're not sure what location you're going to be racing on until you've already started the race. You of course have your typical list of courses that you can choose to go into right off the jump, and that's all fine and dandy, but it's when you start to approach lap 2, things start to go really dark and ominous, and it's the person in first place, they have a choice between 2 different selections here. They have one that's predetermined, and you can see what it is in this portal in the distance, or a random one, which for the sake of this demo, would just randomly pick one of the other like 5 or 6 options that were here at the time. So conceptually, it's pretty cool. No 2 races are necessarily going to be alike if you're playing for long stretches of time, and I do like that, and in terms of the fan service stuff, I'm assuming the basic idea is that the main courses that you're going to select on like the course selection screen are going to be more like sort of toned down thematically, nothing super crazy and over the top and bombastic. It's going to be these CrossWorlds that are going to really up things like to a whole other degree before you sort of come back down to earth for the final lap where the music kind of ramps up and it's the final push and hooray! Things are slightly different on lap 3 compared to lap 1 too, so there is a little bit of the transformed mechanics in there in terms of the track changing over time, just with the element of every lap 2, you never know what's going to happen until you get into it. So it does kind of require a little bit of retooling how you would expect to look at a track selection. Like when you look at something like the Mario Kart 8, let's say the booster course pass, you're looking at every track individually and trying to like rank how one is compared to the other. You can't really do that here because you can only look at it in a single lap chunk and then take a look at the CrossWorlds as single lap chunks. And maybe you'll like more than others, I don't know. It's gonna be one of those things where you don't really think about it, just have fun and let the game dictate what you're gonna do. And for what it's worth, I do like it. If we're not gonna be doing the whole crazy Sega fan service thing, I like this. For the main courses, we have things like Metal Harbor, which is by far my favorite stage in the pre-boost era 3D Sonic games, so having that here, having it return, is awesome. I initially thought it was going to be the Afterburner course just showing up again, but no, it's Metal Harbor, you got the rocket that's there, and then on lap 3, the rocket's shooting off into space, and the music is the music from when you're skating down that in SA2, like, it's so cool, I love that. But then you also got unique original environments like the Rainbow Garden, which is just a gorgeous set piece that has no real relevance in the Sonic universe whatsoever. It's just a place that looks really nice and it's fun to drive through. And then you got something like the Wonder Museum, which as you're driving through it and paying attention, you get to see a little bit of fan service being propped up in these exhibits. Like, you can see some things from Sonic Frontiers, you can see the tornado, which for lap 3 turned into the X tornado from Sonic Unleashed. That's a cool thing. Like, those deep cuts I want to see a whole lot more of. So, like, once again, if these main courses are going to be the more toned down things, but maybe sprinkling in some fan service, they got to do what they did with the Wonder Museum and just take it up a million notches, because I want to see so many more things there. Like, for the love of God, at least like put something like Chip's bracelet from Sonic Unleashed on some display with a light going onto it or something that you can notice and be like, hey, look, it's the thing. I mean, you may as well. It still drives me crazy that they did do a whole thing where they gave Sonic the bracelet at the end of that game and then it never showed up again. So, you know, do something there. And then the CrossWorlds, we got things like Sky Road from Team Sonic Racing, which, hey, love flying around the blimps. The music is fantastic. Cool to see that showing up again. We got Magma Planet, which for those who are not aware, this is what's going to kind of open up the possibilities for there to still be more Sega fan service in here, because this is actually a reference to an arcade Sega game called Galaxy Force. And I didn't even hear about this game before this, but come to find out, these sort of circling fire dragons are from that game. So cool. It's a fun little section. I do like it, but I just hope this does open the door for more stuff, because I want some Monkey Ball representation based off of the new designs from Banana Rumble, okay? Like, I just want something there. But then the thing that I'm probably the most excited about is honestly Dinosaur Jungle from Sonic and the Secret Rings. Like, that's just so bizarre. I never thought they would reference Dinosaur Jungle or Sonic and the Secret Rings ever again. So when you look online, you can see that they actually hint at there being a multiverse with this game. Like, they're going to try to open the door and have other pieces of Sonic characters and set pieces from other pieces of media and show them in here. And it's only going to be if they really double, triple, quadruple down on this that it's going to work. Like, in the pre-order information screen, you can see that there's going to be characters from Sonic Prime, the modern cartoon, in this game. And for one, yes, once again, having multiversal stuff in here, it's really cool, but they could also be just the different skins that the other Sonic characters had in that show, so it could also be not super cool. I'm just so hopeful that they like really go all out with this. Acknowledging the storybook series is already one big step, and I'm hoping for more. And of course, that's not to overshadow the fact that they're actually acknowledging riders again by having Jet with the extreme gears in this game. Sadly, none of that stuff was in the demo, so myself and no one else currently have any experience with that, aside from just like watching it in the trailers. And it's exciting. I was honestly not the biggest fan of riders, but I know a lot of people are, and if they have another swing at it in this context, I really think it could work. It kind of reminds me of like Mario Kart Wii, having the carts and the bikes and having them play slightly differently. So if they get that to work and they do give the extreme gear some like extra mechanics and different tricks, and it doesn't just feel like a skin of a different cart, then they're really onto something here by bringing this back in this context as opposed to just trying to make a new full-fledged Riders game. Plus, I always did kind of like the Babylon Rogues. I thought there was always potential with these bird characters, and hey, if they have another shot at the spotlight, I'm all for it. But that's all the fan servicey fluff and whatnot. That's what a lot of Sonic fans care about, but also there's just simply how the game plays. And coming off of the heels of Team Sonic Racing, which did kind of feel like just a lesser transformed, they did change how this game plays. At least currently, this could be something where I hope they do kind of make more modifications for the final release, but as it currently stands, this was a more arcadey type of racing game. Everything felt snappier, and you just felt faster with your turns. Drifting was a big thing in the previous games because you always felt weighted. You always felt like you had to do something with this momentum that you were carrying. Here, you just kind of bumper carring all over the place. And I do like it, don't get me wrong, it's just more different than you would realize unless you've actually played it for yourself. Like, the trick system is back, hooray! And one of the things that you can do with an equipable item system that's also in this game now is you can make it so you can knock out tricks like crazy every 3 milliseconds, and you're just losing your mind with this analog stick, and a character like Sonic is just spouting catchphrases every single time the car turns, and it's a little bit much. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit overdone. By doing some of these tricks, you're building up a boost that you'll hit when you land, but then why would you not like immediately equip this one that lets you do tricks at a much faster rate and then you just go crazy? They give you the tools to be better at the game, but then kind of punish you with audio of the characters just never shutting up. A thing that a lot of people seem to have issues with, and I do kind of agree, is that ultimately, this demo was incredibly chaotic. Not only is everyone just bumping into each other and doing tricks like crazy and boosting like crazy, but there's also item overload. There are just items going all over the place, and very similar to the original All-Star Racing, you get the return of like the boxing gloves and stuff, and everything is just flying so often. And I understand the idea that a lot of people kind of falsely say that a game like Mario Kart, there's no real skill because you can be in last place and then zoom to first place. But I think too, just attribute all of that to luck and not skill, I think discredits the skill that it actually takes to be good at Mario Kart. Here though, at least in this demo, it did feel like it didn't matter what you would do. There were so many items going across the screen at all times, like you're at the mercy of just whatever is gonna happen. It goes along with the whole mentality of whatever happens in lap 2 happens. Like, the game is the one in control, you're not, so have fun. I think really that just means that when it comes to the final product, and I believe that they will do this, some of that chaotic energy just needs to be toned down a little bit. The trick system has to be toned down a little bit, the item management has to be toned down a little bit, but the snappier movement, I do like. Having the equipables, I kinda like too. The previous racing games like Transformed did have a leveling up mechanic, so in here it's just, you can equip more things to modify the stats of your vehicle, like maybe starting with an item, so you can start by attacking someone right out of the gate, or doubling your maximum ring count from 100 to 200. You know, I'm cool with that. Any customization is nice, and that's on top of already being to customize your vehicle. Like, that's there too. You can do paint jobs and all that sort of stuff, and maybe change the sound of your horn. All that stuff's already in there. It works fine. You get to really tailor make this game for however you want to do it. You may have also seen that the wisps are items once again. And this is something where I think in some videos in the past, I talked about kind of being annoyed at the wisps being like relegated to being an item in so many different games when realistically their introduction to the franchise by being space aliens kind of means it should have stayed there and not just become the items in every Sonic game ever. But I'm numb to it at this point. It's not every item like it was in Team Sonic Racing, so cool, man. It's just like a boost item now, and then maybe you can get the drill, which is like Bullet Bill from the Mario game, so it's fine. Like having King Boom Boo be the blue shell of this game, kinda. And he's back, and he wears sunglasses. That's sick. He's a cool looking dude, and it makes sense because he doesn't want to be out in the sunlight, so he has to wear the sunglasses. So, has a utility purpose, and he also looks badass, so excellent. Definitely think that, like, they could also take out the buzzsaw item, and no one would miss it. There's already so many items in the game to have another one that just sort of comes in, taunts you for a little bit, and then slashes your vehicle in half. It's a bit overkill. I don't think we need it. I think that needs retooling, if not just scrapping it entirely. I also really wish that Sega would stop acting like people kinda care about the Deadly Six. Like, people have come around on so many things in the Sonic franchise over the past, like, people kinda like 06 now. It's mind-boggling, but the Deadly Six, I don't know, man. I don't see that turnaround coming. And they tease you by not even having Zabok in here, it's just Zaz. Like, okay, bro, I don't care. No one cares. Stop. Take him out of the game. But having Sage from Sonic Frontiers in here with the car that's very clearly using re-customized parts from Giganto, that's perfect. Not to sound overly negative about the game, because I'm really not. This was the whole point of this closed beta network test, is so people can give their feedback and hope that the final game is going to be different, because at the end of the day, even though I did have my issues with this sort of, I keep calling it a demo, but whatever, this beta, I actually still really enjoyed this, and I was very upset that it was only there for one weekend, and then that was it, and I couldn't go back to it. Because something about just every race being different with these CrossWorlds made me really excited to dive back in, because the next race, even if I'm going into the same main location that I did in the previous race, you never know. That second lap could just be whatever, and that's fun. Will it be better than Racing Transformed? I still think that there are so many things about this game that we don't know to have any sort of solid prediction as to whether or not it'll compare like that, but it still seems like it's going to be just a really fun racing game. Which, if you're not so focused on comparing games to other games all the time, that's kind of all you really need to care about. This game is fun. This game is going to be very fun as long as they can implement some of the changes that myself and others are talking about. And then also the music, I didn't really mention. I don't know if they'll change this part, but the music didn't really hit much, like, at all, which was very upsetting. The Metal Harbor remix is pretty good, because I love Metal Harbor, but then you have places like Water Palace from Sonic Rush, and the music is not the Water Palace music, and then you go into Dinosaur Jungle, and it's not Dinosaur Jungle, so they're missing out on the obvious fan service there, and the other songs that are there are not bad, but they certainly aren't all that punchy. So I hope the soundtrack just kind of also kicks it up a notch, but once again, that doesn't really affect the main game itself because the gameplay itself is fun. But if this game does succeed in being a complete Sonic multiversal, like, celebration, if they put movie Shadow in Shadow Generations, I would fully expect there to be movie stuff in here. Obviously, I don't think they're gonna go back to, like, Archie stuff. You're not going to see Princess Sally return. That's never going to happen. But I don't know, maybe getting Surge in there. Maybe get Tangle, you know, some of the other comic characters. You can do Sonic Boom stuff. I mean, hey, why not? The cartoon was pretty good. You can forget about the games, but the cartoon was good. They could, like, imagine you can play as Zavok and also Lyric. Like, bro, at this point, why not? It just needs to go a whole lot harder with the fan servicey stuff, and then I think they're gonna have a recipe for success. I do think that whenever I look online, I see a lot of people really focusing on the fact that, hey, we're gonna be getting a new Mario Kart this year too, on a new console. It's gonna be like Team Sonic Racing again, that released very close to Crash Team Racing, and, you know, one game very clearly overshadowed the other. But the thing is, while the previous Sonic Racing games did feel like they were trying to take a whole lot more influence from Mario Kart, this one having the more arcadey feel, I mean, granted, we could see what this new Mario Kart has in store, so maybe this won't really apply, but by this having a more unique and faster and a little bit more of a chaotic feel, I think it'll stand out on its own a lot more than people expect it to. And one thing that I'm also very hopeful for is that when you look at things in this demo that was on PS5 and you get to see things like the portals that are allowing you to transport into different universes, like in the blink of an eye, I am so nervous for the Switch version, boy. Oh my goodness, something's gonna go wrong there. I don't know how they're gonna make it work, so I'm hoping that this is also something that can be used as a Switch 2 upgrade demonstration. So if I'm playing this game on the Switch 2 alongside the Mario Kart game, then you just have year one of a brand new Nintendo console with two really good car racers, and I think that would be super sick. But I mean, there's also very likely another possibility with this game where they don't go crazy with the fan service and they just don't make the game as optimized as they could on a Nintendo console, and they go, hey, outside of the Sonic Prime characters, we have classic Sonic now. Hey, look at that. That's another universe right there we're pulling from. Then, you know, I could be singing an entirely different tune, but I'm currently trying to sell myself on the Sonic Multiverse idea and stay hopeful. That's all I can do is stay hopeful. But let me know what you guys think. If you played the demo, if you just watched footage, what your hopes are, and if you also agree that they should jettison all of the Deadly Six into the sun, never to be seen again. And why Zaz, bro? Like, there's 6 of them, and it's always Zavok and Zaz. There's 4 more. Like, what? Like, it's not even this is Deadly Six. Like, I don't understand. I do not understand, Sega. Try and explain this to me.